Good morning. Such a beautiful day here, and love that the doors are open to let the light in, the light of the sun and the light of the Son of God. So have you ever been in a Muslim country and heard the minaret sing out to the call of prayer? The minaret is the tower next to the mosque that looks like a bell tower. It's actually a voice tower, and the purpose of the voice tower is to call out 5 times a day to the pious Muslims in the neighborhood that it is time for them to come and to say their prayers. The second pillar of the 5 pillars of Islam is to pray 5 times a day. And the first time you hear the call to prayer, it can be quite disorienting, particularly if you got in late and you were asleep, because the first call goes out in pre-dawn darkness. And the call from the minaret is just like the gong or the bell that is hit as in a monastic community, and they have the same purpose, which is this: stop what you're doing and go pray. That's the message. Now, this prayer, this calling out to the Muslim community is a great strength for our Muslim brothers and sisters, and I must say I have a bit of religious envy that we don't have that same sort of thing in our own tradition. So as you know, the Bible is chock full of prayer, and it assumes that the people of the Bible all have a so-called prayer life. The Psalter, the 150 Psalms, is the greatest prayer book probably in any religion of all time. And we see in the New Testament that Jesus is always going off to pray, and that much of his teachings are about prayer. We then move through the New Testament to Paul and his epistles and the Acts of the Apostles. We see Paul praying all the time. We see him instructing his people on prayer, saying to them that they should pray without ceasing. And now we come to James. We've been in the letter of James, and James says to us, be doers of the faith. That's right, that's the big thing about James. Not just hearers, but doers. And today we just heard a bit about when to pray, how to pray, and what happens in these sorts of prayers. The word pray, prayer, or praise was used 8 times in that short reading. So the call to prayer is chock full and rings out from the biblical witness. Last spring, the Spiritual Vitality Initiative here, both the online survey and the church houses, concluded assuredly that what you all said communally is that you wanted to learn the spiritual disciplines, and hence the way of love, spiritual disciplines for a Jesus-centered life. Now, this morning, what I'd like to do is say a few principles about the practice of prayer in your life. These are things that I have learned over 35 years of trying, and my hope is that one thing I say, that the grace of God can use it to strengthen your own prayer life. So, if you do not have a habit, I encourage you to develop the holy habit of prayer as part of your daily life. And if you already have that, I encourage you to determine to pray more. I actually don't know anybody who prays too much. Mother Teresa of Calcutta, the great TV saint that she was, really before the internet, used to always encourage her sisters to fall in love with praying, because if they did, that prayer would take care of everything that they needed. Now, we are all disciplined people. We are all habitual people, and we are all ritualized people. In other words, our routines, they get us out of the bed in the morning. That's how we put ourselves together. These routines guide our day, and then they put us to bed at night, right? And so what I'm encouraging you is to include in your daily routine is that you commit, and then after you fail, recommit to daily prayer. And so when we make the habits of our heart, right, the discipline and love, when they come together, they can transform our lives when disciplines of love take over. So essentially what I'm suggesting to you, if it's not always already true, is that you train your heart, you train your life so that your heart is sort of the minaret that sings out and tells you, get up it's time to pray, right? Or before you go to bed, it's time to pray.